Welcome to Keefer's Corner, Week 7. I'm Jeremy Nygaard. This is Coach Dan Keefer. Coach, how you doing tonight?
Doing great.
So we got back on the winning ways against Osceola Friday night, homecoming.
Yes.
And I think you can probably add to this, but it felt like a homecoming type game early.
It sure did.
With the, you talked about some of the difficulties having homecoming week.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised when Osceola won the toss and deferred.
Mm-hmm.
And then about 3 seconds into the game, it made a whole lot of sense why they were going to kick the ball to us when they go onside kick.
Yeah, I thought that was not surprising, not at all. In fact, I told our guys in pregame, and you can talk to them before, I said, I anticipate they will onside kick to open the game, so let's be ready for it. But hats off to Osceola. They executed it perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, the kid made a great kick. Their kids were flying. And I don't know that we could have really done a whole lot different, to stop it. I mean, they just hats off. They made a great play. And they came out, they played well. You alluded to, coaches, anybody that's coached high school football and has experienced homecoming. Homecoming is great. There are a lot of great things about homecoming, but a lot of times kids they can be distracted. There's so much stuff going on throughout the week, and it's a challenge. And I felt like we weren't real focused, especially in the first half. But again, Osceola played well and kind of had us on our heels a little bit. And we started to kind of show some good signs. I thought near the end of the second quarter that kind of I felt like we were going to get it going, but we did play I thought a nice second half.
I would agree. The energy just didn't feel there in the first half. Part of that is, and I think, and we'll talk about the Badgers, but you have to sometimes create your own excitement.
You do.
And if you're not, and
100%.
the fans aren't in it, and then it kind of it snowballs the wrong way. And we had mentioned that a couple times on the stream too. And we're in headsets and we're high, so it's harder to really tell. But it didn't feel like there was a lot going on here or on the sideline. And then Colton goes out, and you've talked about Colton and how competitive he is.
Right.
Did that have anything to do with they didn't have that to feed off of?
Yeah, I think there was a little transition period not having Colton, because Colton's probably one of our more vocal leaders. So I do think our kids were probably a little, just like things were different. And just, I thought we did have some kids that really stepped up. I thought Gavin Sell was very vocal in a positive way, bringing energy. I like your point. Like we talked leading into the game, like about being like crazy enthusiastic, like having all kinds of juice. Like the first kind of halfway good thing that happens, we go nuts. Like it doesn't have to be a gigantic play. It just has to be something. And then, like that it's contagious. Like you said, it starts building, and we just really didn't get anything going early. We gave up that onside kick. We gave up a drive. We, finally got a stop,
right.
Which we were fortunate down there, but there wasn't juice. And that's a concern. I would sure hope our kids didn't overlook Osceola, because if you do, that's
right.
But hats off to them. They played a really good first half, and thankfully we got into gear
right
after half.
It felt like the play at the very end of the first half where Gavin went from, it was like our 40-ish.
I thought that was a turning point.
Even though we didn't score,
nope.
It just it got people going before half.
It did. It was an exciting play.
Yeah,
it was. And they were, I'm sure they were in a defense that were, kind of a prevent. And we, Gavin's such a dynamic, runner that he makes a couple kids miss. You never know.
Right.
I thought percentage-wise that was a pretty good play, and I'm glad we did it, even though we didn't get in the end zone. It's still, like you said, it did kind of help to stem the tide and get the momentum going a bit our way.
And then we go out the second half, we kick to them.
Yep.
We get a stop, and then that third quarter was just...
We played really good defense in the second half. We did tighten that up quite a lot. We did a couple things, I think that helped. I was very proud of Dawson, Vinadal thrown in there at corner. And, if you look at his coverage, he was in good position. It was just a physical mismatch. He's a sophomore, he's a short sophomore,
right.
and 22 for Osceola. I mean, it was a foot difference.
Yeah, to you.
And, it doesn't matter how, Dawson did a fine job. It's just like, that's what's been nice. We've had, Cal Smith, who, we try to rest as much as we can on D, but he's able to plug in. In this case, we plugged him in at cornerback, and he's good. He can do things. We plugged him in at free at times. We plugged him in at Sam at times, depending on what we need. And that's just a luxury. And it's, a credit to Cal and the D coaches, having kids cross-trained so they can do multiple things.
Right. Do you feel like with the switching to a new defense, has that been easier to learn multiple positions versus the old defense, or do you think it's...
Yeah, I actually think it is. I do. I think it is a little bit easier because there are so many, without getting into it too much, there's so many positions that these two positions work together.
Right.
So if you learn this one, you really in essence are learning that one, and it makes it easy for you to toggle between those two positions. Right. And we've done that, with Ryan Vienendahl, and he's done that. We've done some of that with Colton Hush and Graydon Monacan, and so yeah, I do think it's a little bit easier. I would say it is.
So sticking on the defensive side of the ball, I thought Taden Haldorf, he made a lot of tackles.
He did.
The defense showed up in big spots. The time where fourth down where they were going in, and I think everybody kind of felt like we're going to have two guys over V-Brock. They're going to either have to win this one 10-on-9, or they're going to go to the best player on the field. And I think Ryan came over and either knocked it down or picked it off.
Yeah. I think that was an interception.
And so
on the north end zone.
Yeah, big plays like that. So who was the defensive player of the game?
The defensive player was Ben Peavy.
Okay.
Peavy is on that team. He's almost like a little bit of a cult hero. I mean, they guys just genuinely really like Peavy. And when he had that interception,
absolutely.
In addition to the things that maybe don't get noticed as much, right. He's a very, very good football player and is having just a fantastic year. I mean, he's just been great. But for him, it's a heck of a catch he makes. It's deflected, and you can see from the end zone. This is a great catch he makes. The balls, he's got to reach down there, and he takes off.
Right.
And, guys are making fun of how he ran, but that's just good-natured
absolutely
ribbing. But Peavy's he's a great player, and he's a great kid, and happy for him.
And I think whenever you have linebackers that can make a lot of tackles.
Yeah.
And this goes back to forever. Almost always there's a really good or multiple really good linemen in front of them, because you teach your linemen, hey, we're gonna block this guy, then we're gonna get off and we're gonna block a backer. And if the backers aren't getting blocked, a lot of times it's because that guy in front is...
If you can demand a double team and still make plays, boy, that really changes the math in the game.
Right.
And we are very, very blessed to have guys we had a super rotation. I just love what we did in this last game with Dylan Viendahl. We moved Dylan inside, and he played great there. We got Noah Sarar, who I would argue is one of the best kids in the state. Ben Peavy is playing at a super high level. We got an awful lot out of Derek Ketchum. Derek Ketchum made some really nice plays. So we had 4 guys rotating, and we rotated them a bit more frequently than we had in other games. Just kind of trying to keep everybody healthy and trying to keep everybody a little fresher. And I felt like that really, really helped us, because I didn't feel like there was any drop-off with any of those combinations of players, which is saying something. And then, we also had Andrew Thompson. Andrew started his first game at defensive end, and Andrew is a strong kid and doing a good job with contain. He's a good athlete. He still has to continue to be consistent and strike. And we talked with him a little bit about the first couple series, he's all excited. He's jacked up. It's his first start, and he wasn't really doing his thing. He kind of just lost me excited and running up the field a little bit. But then he really settled in and did a good job. So that was nice to see. And then again, Colin Fritz just continues to. He's just special. He really is. I mean, he had a play I was watching, Saturday, and Osceola had a lineman that was pulling, and he's going to trigger on the lineman. He just literally explodes through the kid. The kid buckles and just snaps backwards. It's just like, wow. I mean, it's just really impressive stuff. So, and it wasn't always that way. I mean, he's worked very hard, and he's earned it. And it's great to see it translate to the field, all that hard work in the weight room for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So flipping over to the offensive side of the ball, not a great first half, like we mentioned, but overall in the game, Cal didn't account for any touchdowns in the first half, which I think is the only half of the year so far that he hasn't scored. But then in the second half, we go from 13 to 42 relatively quickly. Few on the ground, few through the air. Gavin had two, including both. The first one, the shorter one, where he makes a move on the kid in the open field. Yeah, that's tough to do. He had a really nice catch on the sideline.
That was a terrific catch.
Colin had the catch in the first half.
That was the best catch of the year.
And it's not even really an over-the-shoulder catch.
It's over the head.
Yeah.
And, we needed that one. That was a big one, and we hadn't scored yet.
Right.
And, man, that was just a big-time play by Fritz. And I thought Gavin played his best game, period, at Baldwin Woodville High School. And he's played some dang good games.
Right.
So that's a statement. But he played really good on defense. I think it's pretty obvious with Gavin, when he gets going, he gets better and better and better. He's a guy that, needs the ball early, and he needs, it seems to really have a positive impact, not just on our team, but also how he plays defensively. I thought he was a force defensively, very physical. Just looking at the game, he played well. I mean, it wasn't perfect. There was a couple things, but boy, he's really getting better.
So are you offensive player of the game?
The offensive player of the game, and I liked it, was Noah Sarar.
Okay.
Our offensive line is the key to our success. It has been all year. I'm not positive, but I think we've maybe given up 2 sacks. I think maybe Somerset sacked us a time or two.
Yeah, I think Gavin got to.
But that's pretty impressive, when you look at, I don't know, I think we've thrown it like 102 times or something. That's pretty darn good. And we've been run blocking. I think that's evidenced by, Taden's had a lot of success running. Jackson's had a lot of success. Cal's had success. The common denominator being that offensive line. And they play well together. And Noah is a terrific player, but he's a terrific leader, and he's very smart. And they all have good chemistry. They communicate. Coach Lehman has those guys there. Seriously, it's almost like they could perform blindfolded because they communicate so well. And, we're very, very fortunate. The job that's getting done with those kids, they're doing a terrific job.
And watching the running backs, at the beginning of the year, I wasn't sure what their roles were going to be. Kind of interchanged them. And as the season's progressed, Jackson's going to run you over. He's going to hit the hole fast, sometimes maybe faster than you'd want him to hit it. He's just going.
He does.
And then Taden is very patient.
Yeah, Taden's a good running back in terms of he reads blocks pretty well. Very rarely does he, you don't correct him for, hey, follow the hip. He just he gets it. And he's had a nice year too. And obviously Jackson is a strong, powerful. And both have been really good with ball security.
Right.
So,
but I just think it's when you're a defensive player and you might think, okay, where's that running back going to pop out? And you think you show up at the hole. But then all of a sudden it's Jackson who's showing up at the hole looking to run you over. The whole Thunder Lightning thing is kind of, in my mind, that's where I go. And then you got Cal, who you mentioned we haven't taken a lot of sacks. And I think sometimes when you have a quarterback that's willing to just leave the pocket and run, Cal will do that, but he would rather stay in the pocket.
He looks
and throw the ball.
Yeah, he has a really nice complement of hanging in the pocket but then he also has that sense of when it's time to go.
Right.
And when he goes, man, it's always impressive. And when he stays in there, it's also impressive because he can get it to you. And once that thing opens up, he's going to cut it loose. So, Cal's been, it's fun, man. It is. It's a lot of fun to work with. These kids are great kids, and the talent level that we're seeing is it's honestly, it's pretty rare.
And I did see today Cal Smith semifinalist for the Dave Craig quarterback with sports award.
Wow.
I
hadn't heard that.
Yeah. So
he's super deserving, and
right.
He's been nothing but fun to coach. I mean, he really listens to things you say. He got me today. We were watching film, and we have a package where he's literally looking at one defender.
Okay.
And what I've been coaching him on all year was, hey, if it's not there, then take off and run it, right? I mean, we try to make it super simple because there's a lot of stuff where there's a lot of things going on, and I like to have some simple black and white plays.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was one of those black and white plays, and I didn't realize it was one of the black and white plays was we were going through film after school today. And he pointed out to me, well, hey, Coach, this is one of those black and white plays. Because Gavin was uncovered, and I'm like, hey, because I circled him, I said, hey, Cal.
Right.
He said, Coach, you told me. And I'm like, that's what I'm saying, Cal Smith. I mean,
right.
He listens, he really does. And not that the coaching is always going to be perfect, but I think that's part of what has made him good is he really does listen, and that's great.
So let's flip down to the third facet, the special teams. We gave up the onside kick early.
Mm-hmm.
We gave up a pretty decent return.
A long return. They got a wall on us.
Yep.
And that was, we hadn't seen that from them, but there's no excuse. I mean, you got to get that done.
We also missed an extra point, but on our side of things, blocked a field goal, which the ball. Let's explain some rules here.
Yep.
Blocked field goal.
Right.
It lands behind the line. It should still be a live ball.
It should be a live ball regardless.
It rolls
because it's a field goal.
Right.
We would tell our guys if it's behind the line of scrimmage to scoop and score.
Right.
If it's in front of the line of scrimmage, let it be.
Because then it serves as almost like a punt.
It is like a punt.
Right.
So if we would touch it and not possess it, then they could gain possession again. So we never tell, if it's on the back behind the line of scrimmage, we scoop and score. But
however,
there was an inadvertent whistle. The guy on the far side of the field, and he came up and apologized. He said, hey, I was thinking it was like an extra point because it was down there. Because it would have been a dead ball on an extra point, obviously, but it wasn't. It was a field goal.
Yep.
So just unfortunate, whatever. I mean, it's not easy to be an official. We need more officials, and officials take enough crap. But I do think at some point, there have been a few things like that kind of haven't gone our way. I'm hopeful that maybe the rest of the season we get a couple things going our way.
Right.
Because that hasn't been the case.
So if the ball, when it crossed the line of scrimmage, because it took a weird little spin.
Yes, and it rolled, so it was in front of the line of scrimmage.
But that ball would come back to where the ball was snapped or where the ball was kicked from, by rule.
Generally, it would be from where the ball was kicked from, that spot that you kicked it. But
because the whistle,
because it was an inadvertent whistle, it's where the ball was at that point. That's what they explained to me.
So
we lost yards on that, which
game.
I wasn't thrilled with either. But
okay, now
what do you do?
The other special teams question I have for you.
Okay.
We do a little pop-up onside kick type deal.
Yes.
Now, the ball did not impact the ground.
Right.
It goes straight up in the air.
Correct.
So anybody that's going to receive that ball is protected.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah.
Is that what the flag was?
Well, they said that we didn't give them, you have to give them a yard.
The halo.
To catch it. And I pointed out to them that it's a lineman. He made the catch. We tackled him. How much more space does he need?
Right.
It was a judgment call, whatever.
But that was the call, kick catch interference.
Yeah, kick catch interference.
Now, if whoever is near the lineman goes up and just takes the ball,
could have.
That's legal.
Absolutely. They didn't fair catch it.
Right.
If they would have fair catch it, then you got to let them be. But they didn't. So we could have literally went up and jump balled it and stole that thing. But
I have a feeling we're probably not going to see
that
particular thing anymore.
That was not the intent of the kick that we were trying.
Okay.
It was kind of mishit by Gus. Now Gus is a great kicker, and he just missed it. I mean, that's not what we were intending to do at all.
Okay.
We felt like there was a little spot that we could maybe get the ball to drop into and run down and recover. That was the idea. But it traveled, maybe 15, 20 yards less than it was intended to.
Gotcha.
And the direction wasn't perfect. But whatever. I mean, then we just said the heck with it and just bang it deep and do what you do. And
I think if you did that on every single kick,
it would probably be better.
Most people would be like, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Because our defense has been really, really good.
Yeah.
And if you got to go 80, that's a lot.
Yeah, I certainly like our chances if they,
Okay, so all in all, good win.
Yep.
Now we go to Prescott, who had a good one of their own on Friday night.
Yeah. They're a team that's unique. We haven't played anybody like them. They are very, very good at receiver. They have a very good quarterback that throws the ball well. Teddy Burnick, I think is his name.
Yep.
Accurate thrower, and they have this Will Packard, I believe, number 9.
Okay.
Very good receiver. They have Colby Russell, number 3, very good receiver. Number 2 he's again a fast, good-looking kid. 11's a nice target. 23, their running back is good. And those kids are young. They're juniors.
Yep.
The Russell kid's a sophomore.
Yep.
I think the quarterback's a senior, but they will throw it around, and they're very talented. So for us, that's going to be that's good. That's an exciting thing. It's different. They absolutely provide some challenges. It's a different kind of game, completely different kind of game than we're going to see against Central next, the following week, or like when you play Rice Lake. It's different. It's just a different kind of game. They do tempo. They're similar to we are offensively. There are some plays that you could literally say are the same.
So in a game like that, where it's going to be so much passing on both sides, what's going to win the game is how well do we protect, how well do they protect?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think through 3 games, I didn't know how good we were in coverage because when the teams that we were playing tried to throw, the quarterback never had a time to really step up and set his feet and throw the football.
Right.
And if we can get after the quarterback, you don't have to be great in coverage because you get 2.5 seconds to get rid of the ball.
Correct.
How are they up front?
They have some really good players up front. We'll have to see. I mean, obviously we have some things that we're going to try to exploit, and I agree with your analysis that the team that has better protection is going to be in a very advantageous position, and we're going to try to, make sure that that's in our favor.
Okay, so we have JV and C Squad was off in Osceola tonight.
They're in Osceola
Monday night.
Yep.
And so we have a full week of practice here. We're going to end this one by talking about the other 2 teams that you like to follow. And now that you have more time, you can follow these teams a little bit more. Nobody got to watch the Badgers on Friday night because everybody was at King Field.
Right.
Badgers beat Purdue pretty handily, it seems.
Yeah, they did. I did watch that game. I recorded it and watched a little bit of it Saturday. I thought the Badgers looked better in the first half. Honestly, I don't know how good the Big Ten West is. We'll see. Purdue did not impress me as a great team. The Malusi loss is going to be pretty significant, I think, for Wisconsin.
Right. They don't have a lot of depth in that position.
I also am anxious to kind of see what they're going to do when they really play like a power run team, because we've been really light, three linemen, and that's going to be pretty tough to do against the Iowas and of the world that power run teams. So they'll have some answers, I'm sure, but I'm curious to see what they're going to do. But I thought it was a good step. I mean, they handled that game pretty well, and they finished pretty strong. So 38-17, we'll take that. So I thought that was a good win for them for sure.
And then Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. It's like a doggone fairy tale. You got Jordan Love, who first started at Lambeau Field,
right,
down 17-0. It looks bleak. And they had that possession to start the fourth quarter where they got down there and they had the 4th and 2 and they didn't convert, and you're like,
it's over.
Oh, this ain't good. but they found a way. They kept grinding. They got the field goal, and they had the 2 long drives, and they punched it in. And I'm super excited about Jordan Love. I mean, you wanted to take the wait and see approach. I don't think anybody could have predicted that he was going to be this good.
Right.
He's looked unbelievable.
And he did it without his top running back, his left tackle.
Unbelievable.
Arguably his best receiver, although his other receivers have looked pretty good. If you're coaching in a game and you are down 17-3 and you score a touchdown to make it 17-9, what does your sheet say?
Well, I don't have the analytics in front of me, real time like those guys get.
Right.
I was somewhat surprised, but it makes sense because you have a second chance to get the 8 if you don't get it.
And if you do get it,
you win the game like they did. So, right. It worked out great.
So is that going to be your new thing?
Well, it all depends. High school and college are different. I would like to avoid games that are that close altogether. Why don't we just...
But don't you think you have a better... In the NFL, your chance to convert a 1-point play is very, very high.
Mm-hmm.
Your chance to convert a 2-point play, I would think, would be less.
Oh, without a doubt, it's
than
less.
In high school. So,
okay, I got you.
So if you have so you have a better chance to get a 2, less of a chance to get a 1.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That it would make more sense in high school to go.
I understand your logic
because the success rate would be higher.
Yeah,
and it would almost be when you then tie the game, like when they tie the game 17-17,
mm-hmm.
you're like, there's a 98% chance that they're going to win the game with an extra
mm-hmm.
point.
Right.
In high school, even with a really good kicker,
right.
that chance is much lower.
Yeah, right. It's not.
And so, but that might be why you wouldn't do
mm-hmm.
it, because
right.
you'd say, well, if we can get the 2, we'll just get the 2 the next time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though you're not going to do it when you're tied.
Right.
But I think that should be your new thing.
Yep.
Because it seemed to work for your favorite team.
It did.
So why wouldn't you try to copy it?
Yeah. No, I'm pumped about the Rashawn Gary. I mean, I just read that I think he only played 20 snaps in the game.
Okay.
He had 5 pressures. He had 3 sacks.
He was hurt, right?
That was his thing. Yeah, he coming off an ACL.
So was this his first game back, or he's
been playing the
whole
year, but they just really limited his snaps. But
and Alexander was out yesterday.
Yes,
they did it short. I mean, they were short some dudes.
Way short.
Let's go off here and talk a little bit about another team.
Okay.
Do you have anything to say to tell the Vikings fans?
Well, if I was a Viking fan right now, I'd be hurting. So I'm going to just kind of keep my mouth shut.
Okay.
The one that maybe I could chirp a little bit on is the Gophers losing to Northwestern. That brought me tremendous joy. It really did. To lose it in that fashion. And it's not that I dislike the Gophers. It's,
just certain
parts of the program.
And so they lost to Ben Bryant, who was a one-time Badger commit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Transfers around Cincinnati and back, and now to finish his career at Northwestern, beating the PJ Fleck-led Minnesota Gophers.
Yeah, that was a great football weekend. You got the 5 things that I always hope for.
So
we win, Badgers win, Packers win, Gophers lose, Vikings lose.
Well, and there's no reason we can't do that again this week, right?
Let's keep it rolling.
Let's do it.
Love it.
All right, this was Coach Keefer. I'm Jeremy Nygaard. This was Keefer's Corner. We'll be live from Prescott Friday night, and we'll see you there.